Hey, we're St. Blonde, and we're hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I just got introduced to your band with your new single Morningside, and such a catchy tune, and I love the vibe, and I love like the guitars on this track. Take me to the studio and like what it was like creating this track.
I think we wanted to do something that was like a kind of ode to some old surf kind of rock. And that's kind of where the idea for that, like the intro riff came about. And then the rest of the guitars kind of just followed that, I think. Yeah, and pretty much whenever we're working on something, it kind of starts with Trey, and then we all kind of layer on top of it, and then I write kind of throughout, like vocal stuff kind of throughout that process.
What was different this time around with this track? Because listening to your previous material, it like I love that you guys are not just one genre. I love that you guys kind of test the waters with every track. So aside from what you said earlier about like wanting it to be somewhat of like going back to like surf rock or surf rock in a sense, like what else was different this time around in the studio?
I think I mean, in the sense that we were trying to, I remember when we started writing it, we wanted to write something that was like a little more fun to play live. We wanted something, I mean, it's all fun to play live, but the like higher energy, super, we say bandy, like just super guitar driven, just rhythmic, fun stuff to play live, like fun for the whole band, not for one person or another. And I think that, and then we worked with a friend of ours named Sam Westoff in Tulsa to like finish it off, and like he produced it and did some magic sprinkling on top of it, and that was kind of like a fresh take too. We got a lot of cool ideas and just kind of had fun. We usually work in like a super like contained way, like we all like he'll work on it, and then he and I will write on stuff, and then it kind of gets kicked around, and we all kind of add our parts on it, and it was really fun to go. And I think we actually did Morningside at the same time we did another song, or Americana was the other one we did at the same time. And so it was really fun to like go and like write in a setting we're kind of not used to. It kind of makes your brain switch gears a little bit.
The fact that it was like a new setting for you guys, like what was it about Sam that made you guys want to like go and work with him?
We worked with him on Love Me Instead, and we had a really fun time when we did that too. Because I think everything up to that point we had written and done everything internally, and then just sent it off to get mixed. And that kind of like last step where you're working with a producer is, we didn't do it for so long, but then for the last 4 or 5 songs, I think 4 songs, we've done it just because it's nice to get someone else's opinion, and he hit us up and we just clicked. Like his ideas sonically were really cool, and so we worked with him on a bunch of stuff the last year.
So. Since like working with Sam, like do you guys feel like he had an impact on like the way you guys write and create your music now?
I think you can. I think so. He has a very specific style, I think, that is more, I guess, like a saturated feel, and he has like he runs a lot of stuff through like old analog tape machines, and like just kind of like that kind of style. And we kind of like grew to, I guess, enjoy the realness that it brought to the songs, making everything not so plug in digital. It brought like a different life, I think, to those songs we were writing.
Do you feel like the fact that you guys recorded in analog, do you feel like that kind of helped you make a better live show? Just because I feel like when you do analog, you're literally like, it's almost the same as if you're playing it live. Now that these plugins aren't there to kind of make it perfect.
I mean, yeah, and no. It's weird because we write in like kind of clumps, and I mean, by the time we get to work with a producer, we've probably played it live, and like how we had written it. We try to take like a close to finished song to those spaces, and I think in the sense that I don't know, because it doesn't really change like how we perform it live, but it does change, I guess, how we think of it. It more so changes how we write, like thinking from the two sides of things. Because we still have a pretty like linear way of playing live shows, but I think it keeps us more like sonically minded, if anything, tones live and how things sound and stuff like that.
Now, what kickstarted the idea of Morningside? Was it a specific like riff? Was it a lyric? Like what kind of started this song?
It was that riff at the beginning.
Yeah,
right?
that intro riff was just like messing around trying to write something that sounded like 50s and beachy. And then that kind of came the reoccurring thing that came back, and that kind of like led to that main like verse riff that's constantly going. So that was kind of the idea that like sparked everything after that.
Yeah, it's crazy that just like one bar,
yeah,
you're like, that's it, that's the whole song, because that really is like, to us, we were like, that's the song. Now we build identity. Yeah,
that's cool. Does that happen often with you guys? Like one little like riff or one specific like bar kind of kickstarts a movement or music or stuff like that for you?
I think it gets you started, right?
Yeah.
I
always try and look for like the identity of a song. Like what's a part in the music that someone's going to remember, that it's like, oh, it's that song. It's the song that does that. And so that's kind of what I look for when I'm writing the music part, at least. Yeah.
So what about vocally? What was different this time around?
I don't know. I think it was a lot more, not mellow, but like lower. Is it a lower song? It feels like a more, it's all like a rocky song, but I feel like compared to our other stuff, it's one of the more enjoyable ones to sing live, I think, is one of the and again, that was kind of like our goals. We wanted to have the song that we'd all get really stoked to play in the set, where like one person, because I mean every song's different, but we always find like as we start building the set, there's like we start talking, and like one, like Tyler would be like, oh, this song is like, this is the song that's like the song that I'm like, I want to get out of the way, or I want to like, I'm like having to like prep for in my head. And so we wanted the song where like when we got to that part in the set, everyone was like just gassed up to play it, and everyone had the same fun. That sounds so weird because they're all fun to play, but like I guess like from the band perspective, everyone has their favorite one that they consider harder, easier, or more fun, like more movement live or more.
I think that when we tracked it, we had, because normally if we want to add like saturation or like distortion on the vocals, we do it after we track. And I think we tracked it going in saturated.
Yeah.
So that was different as well, because you can't really mess with it after.
That's true.
It's tracked is kind of what it is.
That's kind of risky. What made you guys want to do that?
I think that was a Sam thing.
Right? Yeah, I think Sam suggested it. I don't know if I would do it again, but it was cool to do. Because it's kind of, you just gotta like, whatever you're doing in that moment is what it's gonna be, and you can't change it.
Yeah, like there's no like, because like if a part's too loud, or it's just,
or if it's too like crunchy on a certain part.
Yeah, if it's peaking, it's peaking. That's just that's how it's gonna be.
So as you release this song, I think this was like the first release of 2020. Do you guys?
Is that? Oh wow!
I don't know what 2020 is.
Oh wow!
2019 feels like the first half of like a really long year, and the first half was like way better. Like that's how 2020 feels. Like the second half of a year that's like the worst half of the year. Is it really the first one? Wow.
At least like looking at Spotify, like
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because
Jesus.
we've
That's
been
great.
away for 8 months or whatever.
Yeah, we couldn't get together and write for like a big chunk of it too. So me and Trey were and Tyler, we were all like in our like laboratory settings trying to like come up with song ideas, and it was beating.
So, you know, now that this song is out, like, is there a body of work that you guys are working on? Like, what is the plan for Saint Blonde right now?
We have a bunch of songs that we're working on that are kind of like all in different stages. We have a bunch that are pretty much close to done, and then we just have to go and finish up. And in December, we're flying to LA to work with another producer who we worked with on another song that's not out yet. So we've got a handful of songs that we're mulling over, trying to decide which is the next one that we finish up and put out, and whether we put out a EP or a single again or all that.
And you guys are independent as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, how challenging is it being an independent artist with a year like this, where it's like, you know, there's no, you know, a lot of us don't have our jobs anymore, but then you, as artists, you still need to create and find those means to kind of record your music.
We're kind of in like a weirdly fortunate situation where we've always Saint Blonde, we've always kind of been an internet band anyway. And we up until Love Me Instead, like all the other stuff we did fully internally. And so he has a studio, and I have a writing setup, and Tyler has a writing setup, and then Locks sets up at his house, and we can all track and work and write, and get like close to like a finished thing. And I guess combine that with meeting Courtney in the beginning of the year, the producer we're working with, and our manager, like right at the beginning of the everything going crazy. I feel like we had a pretty fortunate year of progress, internal progress, and like planning, but we weren't really like blocked from writing a lot as much as we were kind of being forced to make decisions. Because you said we're independent, and that what makes that challenging is we have to decide, because we get asked a lot too, like, are you going to put out an EP or an album? It's a lot harder when you're solo, because you don't want to put out an album to less, because less people than we could, hopefully down the road. So we try to release singles to get more people interested, and then hopefully build a bigger following so that we're putting out that kind of clump of work at one time. But it's hard because when you write, I mean, that's why albums were albums before, is I feel like for most people who write music, you write kind of in like a season, like it's all kind of happening in a clump. You almost write in albums, just in the way things sound sonically and genre wise and how cohesive they are. And then when you release them slowly over time, we kind of really wish the like art and magic of putting a record out was like more viable, because that's kind of how we write. And then we just split it up for right now. But
yeah, I feel like that's tough too. Like when you're so used to writing a certain way, and then not, like for a full body of work, and then now you're just like writing for singles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we try not to think of. We just are pretty much constantly working on stuff and try not to think about what is it. It's got to sound this way, or it's going to be. We just write kickback ideas, and if we like a song, we put it in our big long shared note of Frankenstein songs, all in different
And that's kind of why they're all slightly different sounding genres a little bit, different styles, different vibes.
Yeah, because it's, you write in a chunk, right? Of like what you're listening to, what you're inspired by,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, do you guys feel like there's going to be more stuff similar to Morningside, or do you guys feel like you guys still want to test the waters with so many other sounds and genres?
I feel like that's what I think I touched on this with someone too, where Morningside, I think, is what we really like because it was kind of more of like a directional pin. We really liked the process of that. We like how naturally that kind of writing came to us, and I think a lot of our upcoming stuff has that very like surfy undertone kind of tonality to it. I guess I don't know. A lot of our new stuff is like kind of,
It's in the same realm, I think.
yeah, it's like a blend of like 80s like post-punk and like surf, I guess is a good way to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't hear that any like as much anymore. I don't remember the last time I've actually like heard something like that. So it's good. It kind of puts you in your own lane at the same time.
Well, no, I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Thanks.
So, well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really love Morningside, and I've been listening to your previous music as well. So definitely excited for what's to come with the band, and definitely happy that I'm now a fan. So thanks again
Thank
for
you.
chatting with me.
Yeah. We appreciate you getting us on here.